All right, everyone, welcome back to class. So today I'll be looking at some 14-day challengers and a 14-day challenge graduate, who I'm very, very proud of. Let me take my headphones off. I wanted to start off by, everybody in the world is talking about it, but I wanted to condemn every single Trump supporter, sympathizer, believer in his cause. He's a liar. He's a traitor. What happened at the Capitol is treasonous, and I hope Judgment Day comes swiftly for him. I hope Judgment Day comes swiftly for everyone who was a part of that. And I hope that all the police that enabled it, all the police that abetted, is that the right word, will be also removed from their office. And I hope that the 25th Amendment is passed, is pursued. And I hope we are spared the last 2 weeks of this horror. I had a dream sometime before the election in November that there was going to be like something bad was going to happen, and there was going to be flags everywhere. And I don't remember if it was a dream or a waking day deja vu, but I don't know if you even believe in this stuff, but I had a deja vu that I saw. It was a dream or a deja vu, but sometimes I have these, like, I hate the word psychic, but I have this deja vu sometimes, and I never knew why I had it, because I was like, oh, there was minor rioting after the November election. But then, yesterday happened, and I'm like, oh my Lord, this is what I saw. This is how this is it's gonna be bad. And that's all that I remember seeing in my dream or my vision or whatever it was. It was gonna be bad, and I told all my friends. And it's so weird looking at the television and seeing what you saw in your imagination suddenly come to fruition. And it could be deduction, right? It could be just me deducing, where things were going to head. It's just a logical train of events. You input information, and then an analyst projects the possibilities, and I'm an imaginative artist. It could have been that, but it was deja vu style. But if I've said this before, and I just want to make it clear, and I want to underline it, if you're a Trump supporter and you're listening to my classes, kindly fuck off. You're not welcome in my class. I will never welcome you in my class. I can't imagine how, in your conscious mind, you must be ignorant of some kind, or under the, reign of your parents or family or friends. But if you are someone who is actively, willfully ignorant, supporting Trump and everything that he's doing to this country, I hope your day comes too. And you're probably going to end up in jail anyway, because of your, your ideologies and the way you think and the way you are. It's been a horrible, horrible 24 hours, and I just want it to be over. And I hope to God that it'll be over, because it's affecting all our lives. It's seeping into my classes. I find myself teaching, and it just comes into my head what happened. And I'm like, did somebody just seriously storm the United States Capitol? Like, did that just happen? What are we doing about it? What's gonna happen? So keep the discussions alive. Keep angry, because that's gonna help you. And tweet, do whatever you have to do to feel active, because even if you don't feel like you were heard, the universe heard you, and you were part of a tally in the universe, a call to action. Something out there is receiving your will for change. So even if no one can hear you, say it out loud in your room. I'm mad, and I want something, and I want change. If you just say that out loud, just out loud with your words, it's really like a magical spell. It really will make something happen out there, some gear turn, just because you said, I want change, I want this to be over, I want this nightmare to be over. And I think you at least hear yourself say it, right? And it's like a nice solidifying mantra that you can lean on, because it is madness out there. It is crazy. And if you find yourself while you sleep grinding your teeth and your jaw is tight, and you wake up with sore shoulders and a sore neck, and if you can't seem to find joy in just sitting down and watching a show on Netflix, if you find it hard to eat and it's a little bit nauseating to even think about food, if you want to go to the gym and you can't exercise because you just don't have energy, and it's a very difficult time right now in this world, and you're not to blame. And one thing I'm trying to do as much as possible is stay near my friends. And I think that is what we should all be doing, and that'll help reduce the stress of this existence right now. And I really didn't want to do classes today because I am just glued to the news. I'm so stressed out about it. I'm so mad about it, but I wanted to do classes because that's the remedy, that's the medicine, is being around your people. And we should all try to do that. Okay, so we're all here for each other. And on top of the pandemic, like, we're all so fatigued because of the pandemic, and then this shit just keeps happening, and it's just, there's nothing left for me to use. There's no, like, if you follow me on Instagram and look at my stories, I'm constantly sharing world events, I'm constantly sharing news events, and memes and motivational stuff that I feel like would help you guys. But you can tell, like, everybody's fatigued and everyone's tired and everyone is so, like, for a second, you know, we forgot about coronavirus. For a second, just watching these idiots storm the Capitol, we forgot that coronavirus is a thing. And that hospitals now are, in California, are telling people not to even bother bringing near-death patients to the hospital anymore because there's just no way to resuscitate them. We forgot for a second what's happening. But I hope, see, the thing is, everyone is saying, and I'm going to finish with this, everyone is saying that 2021 is, oh, it's just a continuation of 2020. No, it isn't. There is a finality in the air. There is a sense of completion in the air. I woke up this morning feeling like everything is different. And I don't know if you guys had that feeling, but I woke up feeling like the whole world is different. Something's changed. And I really think that yeah, it is behind us for the most part. And it was the last year of his presidency. That's why 2020 matters. That's why 2021 is different. We have a real reason. It's not just a theoretical reason why 2021 is going to be my year. It's great. It's going to be my year. No, 2020 was the last year of Trump. So that's why it's a significant year to leave behind us. And it is over. Let's get started on today's critique hour. I'm going to take a look at an early 14-day challenger, and I'm going to take a look at a graduate, and we're going to compare and see what it is that you benefit from the 14-day challenge. So we're going to jump right in, my problems with it, what you need to work on. But thank you all for your well wishes. You're all so sweet. Yeah, it's creepy cult dogma. It's not just ignorance. Yeah, it's really sickening. All right. So, very, very first thing about portraits is a 14-day challenge face isn't any specific style. It's not a style. The only style, which a noob would call it a style, because noobs love talking about style. And I say noobs lovingly. You are all my beautiful little noobs, okay? Is that it's just grayscale portrait, you know, eyes facing forward, all of that business. It's not style, it's just format. But there is no specific type of face you have to draw for the 14-day challenge. You want to draw a little bit stylized, go ahead. You want to draw fully realism, go ahead. It's just about perfecting the face and teaching yourself how to render. So I usually, when I critique, I superimpose the realism that I pursue in my work. But one thing I wanted to talk about, and I have numerous, is that the word? Kyle, can you bring it up for me really quickly? The 14-day challenge playlist on my page, or Abu, if Abu can, I know Kyle's busy, if Abu can look it up really quickly for me. There's a playlist on all the 14-day challenge critique hours that I've done in the past, and if you just post it here and link it to me on Discord so I can open it up on the video. And you can see how I've, you know, covered different things through different 14-day challenges. And for this one, I'm going to cover blocking, because not enough of you respect the power of blocking. When we block, we can reveal the beauty of you know, of an edge. We can use it. Let me show you how dangerous having flimsy edges is. So when we don't block and we blend too early, we run the risk of having this issue. So I have a soft brush and I have a slightly darker value. All right. So it almost looks like, if you're zoomed in enough, it's the same value, right? Then we bring in our edge. Right, and then select inverse. And you can see how much contrast there is between these two values, where before it was like that. This is the two values I just picked out. They're not new values. This value was all the way here, and this value was all the way here. It's over blending that doesn't let you reveal the contrast that you have. So when you have a, thank you so much, Kyle. Yes. So that when you have a, so here it is, the 14-day challenge, critique hour playlist, and it's basically it just the majority of them anyway from the past, and go through them if you're having trouble getting better at the 14-day challenge. So what I'm subscribed to is a bunch of random ass channels. So make sure that you're taking advantage of the resources you have available to you. All right, so I'm just going in now. I don't have the chat open, so let me just open it up. And I'm gonna find where you have these really bad contrast areas, because all I did was use your values to structure out the lower eyelid, and look at the contrast that you have. I mean, that contrast was visible before I blocked that area, but in case for you don't see it, you know, it's always about what the artist sees, what the artist is capable of correcting for themselves. I don't know what's going on over here. Oh, right. All right, so I'm raising this back to an acceptable level. And for you, if you were my student, I'd completely punish you. I would not let you do pupils and iris for like a good 3 months or 2 months. 3 months is excessive. 2 months, right? 2 months spent in an iris-free prison. Pupil-free prison. All right? Just because of you're just over blending it. You're depending too much on it. The pupil and the iris are fancy looking, meaning like you've got the light eyes, the romantic eyes, the really strong whites in the eyes. You're kind of depending on them too much, and what they've done is that you've made the whites of the eyes way too dark, and that made you make the eyelid way too dark. And yeah, going to pupil jail. And then that also messed up the shadows around the crease and the outside of the eye. I mean, you're gonna see the before and you're gonna be like, what the fuck was I thinking? I mean, if you even have yours open right now, you can probably see it. All right, so I'm just raising the whites of the eyes a little bit because that was unacceptable. All right, and then we're gonna move into any other areas where you had excessive shadow. So I'm gonna correct this here. Coincidentally, it has 14 videos, really? Well, it's going to be 15 with this one, plus any others I haven't added to the playlist yet. I'm sure I haven't added. And I'm going to raise the shadow over here, so that all that's left is just the eyebrows that are nice and dark. And I'm going to also block out the eyebrows. And right now, I'm not blending. I'm trying not to blend. I'm going to give the eyebrows strong pigment. So you just took all the pigment out of the eyebrows and used it all over the eyes. And I don't know if you're the kind of person who has light eyebrows and so you're just mimicking what you have on your face. Usually that happens. I notice that a lot, especially if my students have a profile picture and they're handing in homework and I look at their profile picture and their homework and I'm like, okay, that explains a lot. That's why they have this massive eyes, or that's why they drew this kind of nose, because they have these types of nut faces. And I try to stay truer to their photo, because I know that they're just accidentally copying themselves. But there's some stuff that's just not acceptable, because unless you were punched in the face, you're not going to have pigmentation that hard on your eyes and your lower eyelid unless you wore makeup, right? If you're this fair. So I'm blocking in the temple. The temple starts off at the arc of the eyebrows. This might be too dark, but it's okay. I'm just doing it for the edge. All right. And then I'm going to continue defining the upper eyelid. So you're doing well. This is a good day one. I mean, it's not abysmal. And I've seen issues where, at least I'm not like, you know, liquefying the proportions. I've seen proportion issues. Oh, you name it on a 14-day challenge with day one. They get better by day 14. Day one is just like everyone is on equal footing in day one, be you a pro or not. You're all here to explore your limits. You're all here to identify your weaknesses and get better. So we start in the same box. And then your discipline is revealed, and then your care, you know, how much you care about your art is revealed as the days continue into day 1 to day 7. Usually people quit by day 7. If you finish all the way to day 14, that's just amazing. It's a sign that you care, you want to get better, you're amazed by the progress. It's a beautiful, beautiful little diagnostic for yourself to find out whether or not you have discipline or not. There's a lot to benefit from working, and then there's that controlled environment like a 14-day challenge. The benefits are just through the roof. They make you think differently as well. You start to respect the process. It may affect other areas of your life. So if you're someone who's a little bit lazier and always wanted to go to the gym, you start thinking, yeah, if I just went every single day and just enjoyed the process, I'll probably, you know, a year from now, I'll look better, I'll feel better. You know, there's a lot to benefit from attempting something like this, where you're just scrutinized and your you know, your discipline is under a microscope in a way where it has never been before in your entire life. So I'm raising in one collective brushstroke really large. I'm raising all of the shadows above the middle nose line. For the love of God, everybody, please stop drawing noses like this. Stop blending noses like this. I don't know what you think you're doing with these. Let's take a moment to talk about these two little fellas here. All right, I don't know what you think these two are doing for you. They're doing nothing for you. If there is some kind of structure to the nose and there was a dimpling here, maybe there'd be shadows here and here. If the light of the nose on the nose was a little bit revealing the contour, maybe it'd be something like that. And if it was a masculine nose, if it was, again, it's the structure. And if it's the structure, look at your reference. But if you're not using a reference and you have no idea what these two mean, don't do them. Stop doing them. All right. And then it has to be top-down light source. If you don't know how to join the 14-day challenge, quick little thing, you go to istebrak.com and you go to the community tab here, scroll all the way down for the FAQ and Q&A on the 14-day challenge. All right. And to post it, you go to the Reddit icon here, and that's how you can join us on Reddit. And that's where everyone is posting their 14-day challenges. That's where I pick stuff to critique for our classes. There it is. All right, so I'm continuing the blocking. Something about blocking out the tail of the eyebrow is really, it's just this, has a significant like completion power to make the face feel so finished and make the eyes feel so rendered. Don't overblend or under render the tail of the eyebrow. It's a frame for the eyes. It's part of why eyes look like eyes. It's a big contributor. So make sure you guys are strengthening that sharpness in the tail. Not too sharp because we will blend it out. The sides, this little like tan blush that happens on a face, get rid of that and make sure that you're not value sharing. So reblocking this area and sharpening that block. What does blocking reveal when it comes to what I mentioned earlier with the soft brush trick? What did the blocking those two soft brush strokes, what did it reveal? Can anyone point to the exact fundamental term? The edges, and no, we did edges, and what did the edges reveal? But yes, edges is a good answer. Form change, no. It revealed the facets of the nose, no, not plane change. we had two fuzzy, very, very different values. We added edges. Excellent. The contrast. Thank you, Kiara. It revealed the contrast. Edges reveal contrast. That is fundamental canon. So always do your edges first, because if you don't and you're over blending early, what happens? You end up with too much contrast. And you will see the before. I mean, you guys are getting an image of what it used to look like, but you'll see. All right, and then we're going to move into the mouth. You always have these, you're having the soft brush just seeping into everything. You know, it's like an infection. It's not going to help you. So I'm going to think about the cylinder, and I'm going to block in the cylinder. Yes, this ruthlessly. Yes, with this kind of brush stroke. Absolutely. Right? And I'm going to lessen the contrast on the mouth. It shouldn't look like she has lipstick only on one lip. All right, look at this soft brush use. Way, way too much use of your soft brush. I know it looks pretty. I know. But you need to stop with that, because it's really not going to help you. Let me raise the image size, because I want to use my smudging brush. If your canvas size is small and you're using my smudge brushes, you're not going to get the best. You have to make sure your canvas size is big enough. So for the nose, I'm blocking it. I'm not even doing the radial shading trick where I'm starting a new layer and deleting after. I'll block it in. I'm blocking in the shadow of the septum. And I'll just continue that curling there. Don't do this with the nostrils. Don't do that. Don't do that. Leave it as just a solid. If you feel like there's missing contrast there or missing form there, then just complete the whole thing. Never outline what you could fill in. Because if you're outlining, then you've flattened out what filling in was going to lead to in form. And I'm going to add a shadow underneath the wings here. Very basic nose, but honestly, you shouldn't aim for anything more than a basic nose for your 14-day challenge. If you just emerged sweaty and covered in smoke and soot out of the world of beginnerism, and you've just entered the early baby steps of intermediate. So you're used to be a beginner, but just like yesterday, you're no longer a beginner, but it was just like you still smell like a beginner. Just draw a basic nose, please. All right. You still got the stink of beginner on you. Joking, I love you guys. Then I'm gonna block in the sides right here. Okay, and then I'm gonna, I don't even know if I want to keep them. I'm going to just block out what's happening here, because it's a mess. All right, so there's two stages of rendering. There's what the edges will offer you in blocking, what blocking will offer you in edges, sorry. And then there's, after you've blended the initial blocks, you can go back and re-block for detail. So you don't have to block 100% of your detail right away if you are, you know, if you have the intuition to know where else you needed to block, right? If you're having trouble knowing what the hell to render, you're probably not even going to get to a render stage. You're just going to be happy to have, you know, an early stage completion for your day one, or you're just going to be happy that the head looks right, right? So you don't need to worry about rendering. But if you're a renderer, you've jumped into that, and you're ready to start applying detail. For instance, the eye sockets, I need to render those, but I'm not going to try that now. I'll try that later once I have a better idea. I'll do the initial block. You know, that'll be clean, because I want that to be clean. But even then, I didn't have to do that. Okay, and then I'm gonna just block the lower eyelid crease. And then I'm gonna start blending. So everything looks extremely structured. Before I do that, I'm actually just gonna, I'm gonna get rid of the contrast you have here. So why did this artist rely so much on bright values? Can anyone go back to that logic we were covering earlier? Why did they need such strong light values. What caused that? So if you did understand what I said earlier, what caused the excessive use to get contrast? Excellent, Jonathan. Why did they need contrast? What was happening where they weren't having enough contrast? Yes, contrast. Lack of blocking, too much soft brush. Excellent. They used contrast as a crutch. Beautiful. Good answers. Missing edges, missing contrast. They use more contrast in values. Over blending. Beautiful. You guys are on a roll. Starting off too light, not relying on edges, laying down a plate of grays. All right. Beautiful job. I'm very happy with those answers. I am a happy customer. All right. So now I'm going to start. Actually, let me block in some of the brighter midtones. Not highlighters, just brighter midtones. The stuff that I just dimmed, right? Just look at that. That's a lot. I'm going to bring back, but with moderation. So I'm going to think about wet areas in the face, areas that are shiny. Thank you. Come again. So funny. I will. I'll leave a good review. All right. Okay, shut up, it's right. And then I'm going to just add those highlights there. A little bit there on the Cupid's bow. Just being very selective with where I put these highlights. A little bit on the cheekbones. And a little bit on the upper eyelids right here. All right. So now we can blend. I'm going to start off with the fattiest area, the cheeks, with the largest brush. And then the forehead is not fatty, but it is very wide. It's a long, it's a vast surface compared to everything else, so it needs a larger brush. All right, and then I'm gonna just extend the fat right here. All right, and then I'm gonna start blending because I added a little bit of extra blocking around the eyebrows just because I wanted to have some texture there. All right, and then I'm just gonna continue blending this area. And then I'll do a before and after just so you see it, but I'm gonna try not to lose the history. Blending this, you see how small my brush strokes are for my smudge brush. Why does my smudge brush need to be small? Can anyone answer? Okay, and then I'm going to kind of encourage this with the continued edge just over here. So you don't lose your edges. Excellent. Did she ever imitate your tone with the word vast? I think she did, yeah. I loved the word vast. Because it just, I saw what it meant, you know, vast. So it's like big. You know how when you're like an artist, you kind of see words turn into images, and so. Right. And then I'm going to overblend the mouth. Why am I blending more around the mouth than I would? Let's say, you know, let's take this brush that I'm using on the mouth and use it on the eyebrow, on the socket. It's too strong. I can't get enough of a fine control to maintain the detail up there because there's no detail around the mouth. This critique hour is quite vast. Okay, so I'm blending the mouth a lot. As you can see, it's really just, I'm getting rid of a lot of the edges. The imprint of your edges should remain. Write that back to me. So the general curve of the shadows, the presence of the shadows, the zones, the neighborhoods should all be maintained. So you're not completely erasing this area. All right. And then because your contrast is just a crap ton, I'm going to collectively bring the face down as a whole. All right, so because I want those midtones to count. The more midtones we have, the more what? Does anyone remember? This is more like a pop quiz. It's like, you guys are just stroking my ego at this point. It's just to see how many people pay attention. But what do midtones do? Why do we want more midtones and less contrast? What is a midtone? What isn't a midtone? The more midtones, the better. Excellent. The imprint of your edges should remain. Yes. The more color is possible later. Excellent, Andre. Yeah, and what does that mean? What are midtones? Midtones are everything. Midtones are the data of your drawing. Midtones are the flesh of your painting. You will lose detail and not know how to render if you did too much contrast, because midtones is where we carry more levels. So when you do contrast, take a look at this diagram. It's like having two planes as a general average for a mountain, you know? But when you have midtones, your mountain looks like this. Let me do another color. Actually, I don't want it superimposed. So your mountain looks like this. You know, you have variations. I wanted to superimpose it because I wanted to just copy. So like your mountain has more variety. It has more data versus the simple generalization of the form. You never generalize form when you paint. Don't do that, because that's how you abstract things. That's how it's like undoing things. It's like unmaking it. So when you have more grays, you have more variety, you have more transition. So now I have another level to paint with. Like, I get to have more fun with more values because I darkened the piece. Even pale people are not white. They're not white, all right? Despite what those people in capital think. They're gray, they're brown. Everyone is a beige. All right, when you go look for foundations and you're a pale girl or, you know, pale person, you are going to find light beige. And you grayscale that. It's actually a pretty mid-tone-ish gray. So what is that saying about, you know, how we choose our values when we paint pale people? And how often are you going to paint a pale person over a medium skin person in your career? Most often you'll paint a medium skin person. I'm going to lighten the top of the head because the sphere, the general sphere that we use for when we render needs to be, you know, the geometric anatomy, which is a sphere. The top half of it and top-down lighting is brighter. So look at how much more info we have. I can go another level of brightness now because I have access to it. So much more variety in the midtones, so much more information. Contrast hides data. Write that back to me. So if you're at a loss, oh damn, you know, I'm using too much soft brush, you know, something's happening, I don't seem to have control. If you feel that loss of control, if you feel that lack, just darken the piece. See what happens. Just darken the painting a little bit. You can keep the background light. Just don't darken everything. Just the painting. Just the portrait, sorry. Alright, and let's move on. And I'm going to start blending these out. Same thing. See how I told you you can reblock later and reblend? But I'm not blending so much that I've lost the little imprint of where the highlights are, or where that oily pocket is. All right, we've just got more data, more flesh. Not comfortable with this restriction here at the top. That's annoying. Oops. All right, and then merge down. And then now with the nostrils, I'm just gonna feel more comfortable blending them out now. I'm gonna blend underneath the block of the nostril. Underneath the block of the septum. I'm not blending it away. I'm blending half of the brushstroke away. All right. I'm just going to try to transition that nostril wing into the nostril cavity by blending. So the nostril edge isn't sharp all the way around, it's only sharp at the top. And I'm gonna go back to just correcting this. And now you just have a face that's not too dark, not too light. You have something that's not, you know, destroying the focal point anymore. The focal point has a gray surrounding so that the contrast of the focal point matters. I'm gonna fix the gaze in the eye. So by squint, what is it called? It's not squinting, what is it? Crossing the eye. Bring them closer together. I don't know why I'm doing this with such low density. I don't know why I'm torturing myself. So the eyes need to look like they're looking at one thing. Do that in your 14-day challenge. Because it's easy to make a mistake. It's easy to have... It sounds dumb, but it's easier to make the mistake than do the thing that you are supposed to do. Oh, I don't want to draw, you know, focused eyes. I like the spaced out look. No, you just don't know how to draw focused eyes. Draw the focused eyes just to show me that you can do it. Show yourself. And then in the future, maybe in like 2 years when you're ready for full-on illustrations, then you can start stylizing and making your characters look however you want. Dead, you know, whatever you want to do. I'd be a little too focused because I just kind of lost my... Alright, one of those eyes can go back. And basically, you just have to look at the nose. Look at the nose, see how they look and feel. And I'm going to bring the eyes down a little bit because it looks like she's looking at my forehead. I just want her to look like she's looking at my eyes directly. That's acceptable. And you can see before, kind of spaced out, after focused. Alright, so now I'm going to start detailing and I'm just going to bring in the shadows. Right, a small formation of shadow for the lower lash line, literally just 2 brush strokes, and they don't even have to be symmetrical. And then I'm cleaning up around the pupil and the iris. Pupil needs to be sharp as well. Oopsie. Alright, and then I'm going to do my little trick with the eye socket, new layer, 100% opacity. I mean, it's not clean, it's not a clean slate, so let me just smudge it. So I'm at least cleaning or starting the transition of the eye socket. Again, there's different types of eye sockets, but if you're just emerged from the miasma of beginnerism and your dreams are still that of a beginner, meaning when you sleep, you still dream and speak like a beginner. You don't have the grit of advanced yet on you, the scars. If you're just yet but a summer child, a sweet summer child, just do a basic eye socket, all right? Don't worry about all the varieties of the human condition. Different eye sockets across now the globe. Just do a basic eye socket for me, buddy. All right, so 100% black, low opacity, and I'm layering, not that low, because I'm patient, but for you maybe that low. And I'm just shrinking my brush as I add more paint. You're dancing on the edge of uncanny and scary, but if you can pull it off, it's very impressive. The hardest eyes I find are eyes where you're forced to just stare straight on at the person. Like when you paint, or like the reference. Yeah, you have to think of it as a realized gaze. I think in order to avoid that uncanny stare into your soul kind of look. Yeah. Remember that being stared at is an uncomfortable thing. So before, after. I'm just cleaning up. The eyes are too big for my taste. I feel like big eyes are a cop-out because there's so many other things that make the face beautiful. I'm going to smudge out the crease on the outside because the darkest, deepest part of the crease over here is right at the top of the eyeball where it sticks out the most. By this time, the eyeball is back inside the skull. And it is no longer protruding enough to create a crease. So if you don't know what to do here, blend the crease. It should be darkest, brightest, all of that business right at the top. Burn shadows. Alright, just like so. And then I still have a problem with the whites of the eyes. I'm just not comfortable with them. They need to be a little bit more bright. I'm going to bring in some contrast now. The contrast I bring in now is a very comfortable contrast. It is starting off with pigment, meaning eyebrow hairs are black or dark, for her anyway. And so that's what I'm starting off with. This eyebrow is a little too close to the temple. Just recentering it. And then we've got the shadow of the upper part of the iris. We've got a little bit of a cutoff here for the nostril. I just wanted to bring that back up. Sometimes I'll redo an area and I'll just make the same mistake I did because it's like my muscles that made the mistake and not so much my head. So my hand sometimes betrays me. Alright, so I'm going to try to push the contrast around the pupil in the iris one more time because that's still a bit dark. Okie dokie. So, one more jump, and basically I just do a big soft brush of white, but I erase obviously with a blocking brush because you can't just do a big soft brush. And by erasing with a blocking brush, I'm left with a stronger edge. And then I'll correct the transition of the white of the eye, so it's not just glowing. I'm just gonna use basic brush here, and then I'll be done. Right, so a bit more white helps a lot with the appropriate amount of contrast, and we brought it in later. I'm going to fuzz out the edge just at the top to show that the eyes have a cast shadow coming off the lashes, and just off the bottom to show that the white of the eyes has a core shadow to it. But before, it looks bloodshot, you know, it doesn't look appropriate. Okay, so there's more I want to do. Like, I want to keep pushing it. I want to keep trying for more and more. So I'm going to bring in some extra contrast on the wettest areas, the pool of anything dewy or oily. These are just the last little touches. Again, this is a very basic rendition of all the features. Once you get into a point where you're mature enough to look at references and the hybrid reference, no reference, 14-day challenge piece, then, you know, at that point, I'm just going to leave it basic. Then at that point, you can, you know, try a more unique nose, a more unique mouth. And when we blend out highlights, we're not out over blending them or blending them out in a way. And I'm going to blend the hair in a little bit. blend the start of the hair so it looks textured. And in order for it to look rendered, I'm going to grab the outside color and drag it down. Sometimes I'll use pigment, but most of the time I'll bring in the outside color. Alright, and that's over textured, and that's okay because we'll go back and over out blend or just blend at, let's say, those textured areas I just added. Right. And then I'll just blend this area out. Blend away the starting brush strokes or the tail ends downward. And then just eyeball the rest of the texture. So we at least have some texture here and not none. And then based off your decisions for when you painted this, I'm going to bring in the specular light. The eyes still don't look right to me, but that's okay. Lately my faith in Liquify has gone like way down. And I find myself not trusting it as much, so I use it less for the thing I need it for because of that jitter problem that's been here for what, 2-3 years already, that we just taught ourselves to just live with. So a quick little tip, almost always everyone has dark circles. It's just like a normal human amount. So throwing in a dark circle, just a slight one, it's really non-existent, but something about it brings a presence. Same thing with the mustache. Even women have mustaches. Sorry ladies, I had to reveal our secret. And it's very, very subtle, but it's there. And then I'm gonna just do a strong little highlighter for the nose just to bring it up a touch. And that's with my soft brush because everything's already blended. I don't feel like I'm doing any damage. Is that how could you break the female code like that? I use like I wax my mustache. It's there. So how could you break? I like to call it peach fuzz. No, it's a valid mustache, all right? Respect my authority. I'm the patriarchy. Maybe if I had a mustache, men would respect me more. I'm a female teacher. You know how hard it is for men to learn from me? You know how hard it is for them? It's just to spare them. Sometimes I think I need to just start wearing a mustache to class. Not that they can see me, but they'll hear it in my voice. Okay, and I'm gonna just throw that upward. Just here. The eyes do look a little droopy. And then I'm gonna blend out. Honestly, I probably already talk like I have a mustache. Scratch your beard into the mic, it'll scare them into submission. Would love for you to say write that back to me. Go ahead. And then I'm going to finish off with some kind of like seeping highlights that just sit underneath the eye. Just like that. And I'll call it a day. I'm kind of just sitting here kind of getting my own enjoyment of painting like it's an after hours. So. Oh, not yet because I didn't do the waterline. The waterline is only brightest toward the front most part of the lower eyelid. And there is a little bit of highlight underneath the pupil. Okay, so the mouth is a little bit under-rendered. I'm going to leave it like that on purpose. I want to take a look at the before and after and see where it was before. I might put a little bit of extra contrast just on the stacking line of the lips. It's like a line. You do have lines on the face, but they're formations. They're not so much lines. They wouldn't be lines had we been zoomed in, whereas a line, I treat it as a vector the way you guys are working. It's like a line forever because it's a definition or the outline of a symbol. And then I'm just going to clean up the pigmentation on the side of her face. So lighten, just making sure. That we've got. So for the last video, it was quite a big discussion on the comment section about the Lolita anime world. And I more than welcomed the discussion, but there were some people who went in combative, disrespectful, and I deleted their comments right away. If you're not going to be respectful, I'm going to delete your comments. It happens. It's going to happen to you. It's going to happen to you, baby. It's not some kind of like 4 million subscribers. I don't have time to go around deleting. No, I have only 100,000 subscribers. I'm coming for you. I got the time and I got the means. All right, and I got a really good phone, so I'll load those videos fast. I'm coming for you, and if you're not respectful, adios, man. See ya. See ya. If you're respectful, I will leave your comment alone, even if it 100% disagrees with me. It's not about people who disagree with me. It's about people who are disrespectful. Combative, rude, you know, entitled. Ooh, horrible combination. Just the scum of the earth, really. That's who I delete. And then from a distance, I can see I'm missing some stuff, like the extra crease on the lower eyelid. And then I'm just gonna blur out the tail of it. So it should be sharp in that it's shaped like a triangle or a point. But it should be blurred because it's not part of the front part of the face. And then again, from a distance, see how zoomed out I am. I can just see where I have the need for. Something just told me to flatten the image and save, so I'm just going to do that. All right, and then a little bit of a shadow in between the eyebrows. And then finally, I'm going to just fix the skull because it was flattened. And I think that happened because your canvas was too small. All right, so ready for the before and after? I know of all the things to defend and go hard, I mean, just to be combative for, of all the hills to die on, you know. Before, so image size 3000. Before, after, and that should be this. Before, after. Really big changes. I probably should have done an in-between critique, like a before, so you could see before I started detailing it. But I pretty much just used the features you had. I hope I didn't change the face too much. I feel like this is who she'd look like had she become a zombie or a vampire. And this is why I didn't want to keep the pupils and the iris, because I'm just not happy with this after, because it's not about the eyes. It's about blocking. Yeah, the eyes are gonna look pretty if you keep them there and they're gonna be that big. But I just want to show you the blocking. I don't really care about the detail that comes from eyes because of the people iris specular light community there that kind of just makes everything feel finished, you know. Yeah, it's fun, it's nice, it's finished, it's a nice rendered eye. That's not the point of the lesson today. The point was your contrast was too much. Look at the white that you used everywhere. Right, just because of that soft brush use. And then the outlining of the nose tip, the contrast around the mouth, lipstick only on the upper lip. No structure at all. It looked like a pigmentation issue, or again, a villain. All right. It's like she changed skin tone. I did change it. I darkened it a little bit. But she's still on the paler side. She's up there. A mid-tone that's medium would be in between this area. All highlights are bright, even on African skin tones. All right, just take a look at what happens when we have access to mid-tones. And that should, anyway, I want to get rid of the pupils and the iris here as well. And it's just not about that. It's about how the whites of the eyes were missing, all of that stuff was just eclipsed by your soft brush use and your lack of edges. And you use soft brush when you don't know there's an edge. If you knew there was an edge, would you have, Rachel, would you have, wouldn't you have shown it? How do you fix it if you don't know where an edge is? How do you fix a lack of knowledge of edges? Study more? What do you study? All right, so I'm going to try to make the nose the same as well. And those are the dimples I told you guys about earlier. The sorrow head. What else? What is the edge? Mother load. Alright, so before, after. So now you can see, this is why I got rid of the pupils and the iris, so you can see exactly what was happening. Before, after. So consider this the actual before and after. Form studies, yes. When you get a polygonal lasso brush, lasso tool, and you make a random polygon, you are forced to turn this without the use of lines into something that reads as three-dimensional by only just your, you know, sheer power of will. All right, so you're going to choose the very top face. It can be whatever you see. It shouldn't be hard. You're just lassoing and shifting. You can also lasso and paint. Really, there's no rules on how to apply the paint. I'm going to make it so that. Yeah, and this is all the light side. Right, and then you're just going to keep doing that. What that's going to do is force you to see levels. If it's too hard, you can outline them. You can sketch out or outline or plan where diagram where the planes are going to be, just to help you think about what planes are. Because if you don't know what planes are, you don't know what a Nasaro head is, right? You're just going to hope that you get it. Whereas you can be sure that you get it by doing a form study, because you're just going to get a cube, and that cube is going to evolve like a little Pokemon into something more advanced. and then eventually it becomes a really advanced form study, and then it becomes an Asaro head, and then it becomes a face. Do you follow that logic? I learned by breaking things down into different and adding it back together again like Humpty Dumpty. Is there any way to break down the eye? It's too complex for me to render. Learn how to render a sphere. Then doing fabric studies might help you understand how things wrap around each other. So do a basic fabric and fold study so you know how to do a crease. So for the one who asked me that question, do some sphere studies in light. You'll learn how to cast a core shadow for an eye, and then do fabric studies so you understand creases and how the eyelids, like fabric, wrap around the eyeball. All right? That's a good way to Humpty Dumpty it. And then for this guy, congratulations. You do have some issues here and there with soft brush use. As you can see, the eyebrows are a little bit too bright on the sides there, and that's a result of over blending and not blocking. You saw how we blocked the eyebrows, right? That big block we put here. And then the brow bone is just like super strong Arnold Schwarzenegger eyebrow bone. Take it easy, it's just a girl. You can decide on the gender later. That's not what I mean to say. I mean, you can paint, you can decide on the androgyny later and customize as you will in this free world. And then obviously before you do that, you should learn the male face and when to use eyebrow bones like that. Because, damn! Alright, so we got rid of that. And then I'm going to soften the eyebrows a little bit more with the forehead. This area here is a little bit too dark. So over blending didn't let you see that you made like all these new masculine bone structure markers everywhere. Or maybe you just didn't, you blocked it but just didn't know you were doing it. There's a lot of reasons why. Sometimes I know, sometimes I don't. It's just, who knows why anybody does anything, but for my students, sometimes I know where their habits come from. Sometimes it's a surprise. So if I fix that up, I'm getting rid of this expression you've got. You really shouldn't have expression for the 14-day challenge. But she seems very accomplished. She seems very proud she finished the 14-day challenge. And then you have this like this. You guys, all of you guys get this weird traveling of light that cancels the beard shadow. Y'all need to take it easy with that. So you can see how even someone who graduated the 14-day challenge, who actually has a really nice face, has beginner mistakes. There's no escape from the stink of beginner. All right. And then I'm going to throw the darken brush over the lower half here so it doesn't look like there's bright there for no reason. You've got long nose syndrome, so you should, and it's mostly due to the shadow that you've extended. I'm just gonna shrink that nose length, which is a little bit too strong, and then I'm gonna block in long class today. So that the what is it called? The Cupid's bow should be present as well and pretty bright. And I'm just smudging out this shadow. And you have the same issue where you have a medium skin tone and the background is too close to the object's value, and then you have like a overuse of the soft brush causing these like white patches that expand too far. So I'm just going to get the darkened layer and just throw them in. And really the only bright spot you're going to need after that is the nose. Take a look. And look at the nose. You did the same thing with the shadow. It's not so much sculpting as it is just, you know, outlining. So I'm going to throw a body of light here and here. If you throw light for too long, it'll look like the nose is huge. A big nose catches a lot of light. And if you want like a delicate looking nose, you can just put a little dimple to show how that bridge altitude is canceled out. Alright, so the long nose, the strong forehead, after. And that's helped in a lot of ways already. There's nobody who escapes these fundamental issues. And the only way to make sure you know them is to critique each other and subscribe. For real, I'm not joking. Like, subscribe to my channel. Alright, so before, after. Fabric and spheroform studies. Treat lines as formations. Crack and cave studies. Form objects by layering. Thank you, Istebrak. I learned the basics and post my process in the community tab. The subcrib. What's subcrib? Oh, subscribe. 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 Alright, thank you everyone for watching. I really appreciate your presence in the live streams. Thank you everyone for your sweet thoughts and words of support earlier. I'm sorry I didn't get to read through them. Again, make sure that you surround yourself with friends during this dark and heinous time. There's too much stress in the world. There's so much negative energy in the world right now because of the pandemic, because of the tail end of Trump's tyranny and ruin in the United States. There's just too much all the time. And so make sure that you are gaming, all right? Game a lot. Play games, okay? And enjoy art. Have fun. Basically, you're on just incubation mode until the pandemic's over, all right? The day you wake up is the day they wake you up with that little vaccine. And that's when you can start worrying about studies and being the best of the best. The world is on pause right now. Just imagine that you haven't been born yet. So play games, be a kid again, enjoy your life, enjoy your weekend. Don't work too hard, don't try too hard. There's people who are awake who are fighting so that when we wake up again out of this darkness, that there's something good to wake up to. And these people have been fighting for a long time. Someone as old as Biden, like someone as old as him, decided to run for president to fix these issues. That's like a very old man. I'm sorry, but he's old. And that's not my criticism of him. I'm not an ageist or anything, or whatever the term is. I think he's a hero. Nobody else really had the balls and the decency and the rhetoric to do anything about this. But there's people out there who are fighting for it, like, fighting for change. The Senate majority is Democratic now. This is revolutionary. Things will come. Your money will come. Healthcare will come. Changes will come. I'm saying this really just projecting. I'm the one who's stressed out. Anyway, so I'll see you guys on Tuesday. Monday. I'll see you guys on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern time. Thank you everyone for watching, and if you want to submit your stuff, go to istebrak.com and click on the Reddit icon to join us. The community challenge is up, and it's the Ancient Weapon Design Challenge. Please read through it. Read the little thing I wrote years ago. It's like my little creative writing thing. Download the resource pack. Read it. Ask some questions. God, ask me some questions. Comment in the comment section. I like reading your comments. You know, I'm just like any other YouTuber. I like when you subscribe, like, and comment. So please do that. I'm not really like other YouTubers. And Portrait Studio is still on sale. Please support me on Patreon if you have the time and the means. Even if you just join as a $1 patron, that's $12 a year for keeping this community going. If everybody joins, we really never need to rely on any other form of support from any other community or marketing or agency or anything like that. And I'll see you guys on Tuesday, the 12th at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Bye, guys.